Welcome to day 2 of Crush Your Quota. Today we're going to be talking with a 10-year B2B sales veteran. He specializes in HR and e-commerce tech, and over the last 10 years, he's pretty much worn every sales hat that's possible. He's gone from lead generation to full cycle account executive, all the way up through sales management. Let's give a warm welcome to Jake Bernstein. Jake, great to have you on the show.
Great to be on the show. Happy to be here.
Nice. So this is going to be really high speed, 15 minutes. As always, 3 parts. Part 1, your company. Part 2, data. Part 3, strategy. So to jump right into it, can you describe Clearcut Analytics and the product that you're offering?
Sure thing. So Clearcut Analytics is an e-commerce business intelligence solution. We help consumer brands get smarter about how to grow online, and we offer a portal and analytics platform that helps them do exactly that.
Gotcha. Who is your ideal buyer that's buying this to improve their analytics?
Yeah, so we target brands that notably are selling on Amazon today and that are doing about north of $2 million annually. They're consumer packaged goods, but mainly in the health and personal care and vitamin, minerals, and supplements categories. That's where kind of our expertise has been over the past 8 or 9 years or so. And it's those types of companies and also the folks doing e-commerce marketing and marketing analytics as well, and US based too.
Gotcha. So it sounds like it's account-based marketing, but also there's a few specific titles. Are those accounts changing all the time, or do you kind of already know who those accounts are? You're just landing and expanding, or how does that work?
Yeah, right now, so we do have a set of accounts that we are landing and expanding our existing customers, but at the same time, we are taking a strategic account-based approach where we're actually using our own data to inform who our targets should be. Those are within the health and personal care category that we're using data such as which ones are growing the fastest, which categories are emerging, and then targeting them that way. And then based on the success we're having quarter over quarter, we'll optimize and iterate our strategy.
And where's that data coming from? That growth data, et cetera? Is that proprietary or is that?
Yeah, it's not necessarily proprietary, but it is essentially the foundation in which we built our portal and our analytics platform. That way, we're essentially using our own data to inform those targets. Which categories are growing the fastest, maybe which ones are contracting, who's entered the category, who's making a splash, and say that should inform our go-to-market strategy from there.
Gotcha. So inside of those companies that you're tracking, who's the buyer that you're targeting there? Is that
Sure.
a specific job title?
Ultimately, the economic buyer is more than likely going to be the chief marketing officer, but we're typically also contacting and selling into VPs and directors of e-commerce, directors of marketing analytics, product innovation and development, and some other folks just on the marketing side, maybe even category managers as well.
Got it. And we had gone over timing before where, timing is half of sales, reaching out at the right time. You said that you track new hires, you track product launches, you track contraction rates. Can you kind of describe each one of those things, how it affects what your customer is thinking and how you use it to start a conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. I can kind of give you an example. One of the job changes that we're tracking is either an Amazon account manager that they're adding to the mix, an e-com manager, or even folks that are specializing in product and innovation. If we see those alerts or triggers beyond LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or we're just setting up a campaign now to track other hiring sites for those types of roles, we'll now conduct that outreach. So to complement what we're doing on the account-based side, we're now coming up with a series of triggers and campaigns where we can target the persona in addition to the brand or the company.
And what is that initial outreach that you're using so far? When someone joins a company, what are you saying to them?
Yeah, with the Amazon account manager role, for example, we're saying, hey, can we give you some data, insights, analytics, and trends so that role can be successful from day one? That way they have a secret weapon they can add to their arsenal and make themselves look great from the moment they join and make an impact from the brand right away.
And have you proven that strategy? Have you run it? And what is the outcome that, tangibly tells you this is an awesome strategy that's empowering them?
Yeah, not yet. It's pretty nascent. Ross, in our conversation, it actually dawned on us that we should start to get some of those things going. So we're just putting the foundation in place. I think success will be, did we generate meetings as a result of some of these triggers? And, did it allow us to get an in that we didn't think was possible otherwise, or in place of or in complement to the account-based approach?
Interesting. Okay, so as we come up on our 5-minute marker, what's more important for you to dive into? Are you looking for newer, more accounts, or account, not tied to account, just new people starting in these positions that you want to reach out to?
I would say, and it's funny because we just talked about this on our sales team maybe an hour ago, is in addition to having personas, we're having kind of brand personas or brand targets too. So we have enough data to probably work with, but we're adding some qualifiers to that mix. So how many new products has a brand released in the past 6 to 12 months? Does that give them a higher propensity to say, well, I need more data to inform where I'm going to go next in my product development lifecycle? Or because I play in multiple categories, are they going to need more and more data from us and maybe what they already have today? So I think as of now, it's leaning towards getting smarter about the brands we go after, but I want to add in a level of experimentation on the triggers and the like.
Gotcha. And getting smarter after the brands you go after, you have all those brands. You're seeing when's the right time to reach out, what that data is. You're not saying give more data on more potential brands to work with. Brian, yes.
Yeah,
Jake.
I would just say we have enough to work with, and once we get the right mix, we want to figure out how to best pour gasoline on the fire.
Gotcha. Okay, let's go straight into data. Brian, thoughts, everything you just heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so first thing, it's a cluster. I gotta get more into like what you already have and what you're looking for. So it sounds, do you have the targets and you just don't have the people, or are you trying to kind of think, it sounds like you're doing like a growth mindset and when you want to try to start doing account scoring, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great call. That latter part of what I was mentioning, Brian, account scoring, that's new to us. We do have 2 SDRs on the team. Before we said, I think we started about 25 to 30 accounts per quarter. Because it was a new role for us, I wanted to say, hey, what can we do with that? If that goes well, let's see how many more we can add, maybe 15 to 20 from sort of a more account-based approach, but also have enough flexibility to say, great, let's add on this trigger. Let's set up a process and a workflow for you to add that to the mix. But wanted to kind of make sure we got the foundation right as those new SDRs started to ramp.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share a screen and I'm going to go over like a couple different strategies, and then we're going to kind of dive down in and try to figure out like what's going to work best for you. All right. So like the first thing I said, you said when you said e-com, and let's see here. Can you see the screen up here?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So the first thing you said when you said e-com, Amazon, if it's on Amazon, Amazon's going to win. And so you're basically saying that as Clearcut Analytics, we're going to give you the same analytics that a company like Amazon has so you can compete in that world. There's another space too. I'm not trying to like change your whole target in Quota, but this is something that I used in the past. It's got a really weird name. Have you seen this before?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So this has every Shopify site in existence. I'll send you the link after. It's called like myp.ms. It does a domain hosting browser thing. And what it does is it goes through all the top traffic sites that are on a Shopify server in the world, and it has it by rank. And so even if you were kind of like, just account-based marketing, I want to go to the top 50. This is a top 25,000 website. So they're getting a crap ton of traffic, like right off the bat. This is a simple way to start finding the accounts. Once you have the accounts, what you then have to do is you basically, obviously go into LinkedIn and find these operators. I think it's really interesting that you brought up the hiring signals and job openings. That's something that's on our roadmap to do. And we talked with this company. If you want to go out of the gate right away and get out of the gate, we talked with this company like 2 days ago called Predict Leads. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they do prediction based upon funding rounds. They don't do job changes. They do hirings and job openings. And their pricing, they have like 1,000 for free. And so whenever you're trying to do these things, I start to think about, okay, you're trying to make a growth model. You're trying to do account scoring. You're kind of moving from, hey, we know who our top 100 accounts are. We want to understand who our top 2,000 accounts are.
Right.
So there's a whole kind of like consultative nature in there, right? So right off the bat, I would look at the top 1,000 Shopify accounts. Because once you get into kind of the Amazon review system, you're going to need some really good engineers and growth hackers, and it becomes a very custom project. And what I mean by that is what I would do if this is my main, here's another one. All the coffee roaster list in the United States, right? Mm-hmm. That kind of like came to my mind is like, who needs this and who needs to compete and who needs to understand their users? Something like artisanal, like a coffee, something artisanal, like a local brewery or microbrew that is selling online, but they're not selling online, but these guys are selling online. Mm-hmm. And then I thought what was interesting was the Amazon account manager. That was something I haven't heard of before, which is pretty rad. And what we can do is get an account of all the directors of e-commerce, product development's too broad, e-commerce manager, Amazon account manager, maybe even a company that has a Shopify developer in-house, mm-hmm. right? So that they're at the level and then we can kind of compare that. So we haven't done e-com in a while. We are tracking about 2.2 million companies in the United States. Wow. E-com tends to be a little bit like cloak and dagger owner operator at the small scale. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you need people that are the big scale, 50 SKUs, 1,000 SKUs along that lines. So they're going to have a LinkedIn footprint. They're going to have an Amazon footprint. They're going to have a Shopify footprint or Magento or something like that. And so this is actually a tough one. Another place that I would go to is the Tree of Life distributor. I used to play in, are you familiar with that?
Not that distributor specifically, mm-hmm. but I'm intrigued of what I'm seeing on the screen. Tell me more.
Okay, so Tree of Life is one of the largest natural products foods distributor in the country, right? And so it's a little less e-commerce. A lot of the big guys just use them as an Amazon plugin. Okay. Like as a throughput where their distributor get us on Amazon and then you guys do the rest. Yeah. And so Tree of Life is a majority in the natural foods and natural products industry. They're the biggest distributor, right? So a lot of people in that industry are not capable or don't have the direct to consumer approach, right? So they go through Tree of Life. Their whole goal is how do I get on the shelf at Whole Foods? How do I get on the shelf at Trader Joe's? Yep. That's their whole goal in life. Tree of Life, there's another one. It's not World, I want to say World Market out of San Francisco is another major distributor that they'll distribute a lot of these ones, but Tree of Life is definitely the biggest. So they are basically, there might be a little bit of more of a deep dive and kind of understanding who are the biggest brands on there. And then seeing who Tree of Life, they may be just a direct client, or you may be able to even go one layer deep. I'm not really sure there. But there's definitely something there. And then what we would do then is do a count for you, or what we could do a count for you is for the health and product industry, we would use the keywords on our 2.2 million company database. We would look for CMOs. Do you have an idea of an employee account that might work?
It's probably within 50 to 250. I mean, okay. We're looking less in terms of employee count and size and more so at, hey, how are sales trending? But right. That's probably the range.
Got it. So anywhere from 50 to 250 an employee count. We would run a crawl on our internal database for health and CPG companies for directors of e-commerce, CMO, Amazon account manager, and e-commerce manager. And I think that's what we should do. And then obviously depending upon if there was tens of thousands, which I don't think there are, I think you're playing in a space where you might have a total target accounts of 5 to 10,000 in totality that are going to be your key accounts. Mm-hmm. And so depending upon that, how many people that we find, we would get you 100 to 500. And then I would put on a factor or a filter of, because our whole thing is job changes. If we have 5,000 or 10,000 different people, we would then filter and say, who's changed jobs in the last 180 days? Who's changed jobs in the last 30 days? And we'd give you that timing on that. And I think that's what we should do in terms of data.
Let's do it. Yeah. With I like it. 1 minute and 10 seconds left. What's the strategy for that? You said you've already started reaching out to people who recently changed jobs from that list. What do you tell them? I mean, I know that you kind of went over that you have the tool that's going to empower them, but what are you telling them? Is there anything that you would want to brainstorm about what you change, what you're saying?
Based on some of the ideas that Jared, I mean, Brian, you're bringing up some good points of what does a brand's maybe traditional retail or brick and mortar life look like that we could layer into that. So Ross, I would add that layer in terms of maybe some of the targets and convey, hey, the world's changing, going from brick and mortar and traditional retail to e-com. This role seems like it's stepping up the game. Let us be a factor or a data source that can do that too.
Sounds like an awesome initial message. Yeah, that made the cut.
All right, good.
Awesome. We are at time right now. So everyone, Jake, Brian, thanks for coming to Crush Your Quota, new show, episode 2. We'll see everybody next episode. See you guys tomorrow.
See everybody.
Excellent. Thank you.